Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're here with another episode of Dark, episode 4. Last time on Dark, it's more affairs. This time between Agnes and Mrs. Tillman. Something we've suspected for some time, but wasn't really confirmed. We saw them flirting a bit in season 1, and now we know why Mrs. Tillman actually leaves Egon. Um, the last episode was pretty much just giving us some insights, filling in some of the missing bits that we didn't have in season 1. So it was more just filling in those parts and giving us some insight into the characters and drive them, what may drive their decisions in the future, or the future that we've already seen, essentially. Um, Claudia, in particular, it was a heavy focus for this episode. Having met her younger self last episode, and a stark warning that she should spend as much time as possible with Regna. But I don't know how much you can change that at this point. Well, Regna's still very young here, but then the mere fact that her older self shows up means that she's now going to be even more distracted. So it feels kind of counterproductive to me. Because yeah, she's saying she should spend more time with her, but then she's just giving her this huge responsibility that she needs to stop Adam. So she's now going to be spending less and less time with Regna and focusing on stopping Adam. And you see that come out when when her father shows up, when Egon shows up to tell her the news that he's been diagnosed with cancer, and he's not well, and he thought she should know, and she snapped at him, which caught me off guard because, as I've said, I've seen several persons show up in her office, no appointment whatsoever, and including her older self, and she was quite pleasant. So as children, there, when she was a kid, her relationship with her dad seems to have been really good. So and I'm not sure what changed, or perhaps it was just a moment, because in the last episode, her dad was there at her house when Regna was about to go off to school, and they seemed to get along quite fine at the point. So maybe she's just feeling a bit, like she has a lot on her plate at the moment because of the information that she's been given, and she's processing a lot of stuff. I do wonder though. She herself has had an affair, with Trant, and we saw a scene in the last episode where she walked in on her mom and Agnes, doing their thing, and she later, when walking with Trant, she asked him to pull his pants down so she could see. So I'm wondering if just perhaps everything is connected. So perhaps her mother's actions in that moment, where she walked in on her and Agnes, kind of fueled her affair with Trant later on, or in a way her manipulating Trant, because it feels as though he's going through a traumatic phase, depending on the relationship he had with his dad. It's assumed that his dad was abusive, but it wasn't definitively said. I don't think that it was his dad that did that to him. I'm assuming that it was. It could have been Agnes, but I'm assuming that it was the dad. But he mentioned coming from or being in an orphanage at some point, I believe. But either way, he's had a traumatic experience, and she's essentially, taking advantage of all of that. And whether that was influenced by what her mother was doing or not is debatable. But we're seeing where the actions have a ripple effect, and it influences other characters to make certain decisions. So that may have been the start of her infidelity with Trant there, and yeah, it's a never-ending cycle. It is a never-ending cycle. And of course, Noah shot older Claudia, in the last episode as well. So there's that. I mean, we won't know whether or not this is just another part of the cycle, and it's something that has already happened and will happen again, until we get to the end of all of this. So there's that question, because she knew she was going to die. So that raises the question: is this something that should happen, and has? But whatever the case, whatever her plans are, it appears to be working. She's working with Agnes, who is Noah's sister, which interestingly, I mean, it makes Noah a Nielsen. So I'm wondering, because he's messing with it, he's screwing up his own family, further down the line. So who knows what the cause that this cause or prophecy that he's devoted himself so much to. As far as Claudia is concerned, she says he's just, he doesn't have free will. He's just doing what he's told. But at the end, he defied her, or what she thought, and he didn't give Adam the pages that he found. He did mention Charlotte, when he was reading the notes. And I don't know if it will tie back to my theories from the last episode about who Charlotte's parents possibly could be. Maybe Charlotte is another key in the cycle, in the same way that that Mikkel or Helga is. So that is interesting. I'm curious to get some more information on that. So looking forward to it, guys. Episode 4. Let's check it out. Where did he end up? So he's either in the 50s or in 1921, since that's the only other timeline that we've been introduced to so far. Does that mean that we'll meet young Noah or little Noah, or like young Noah, sort of? There was that story that Noah told Helg back in season 1 about him meeting a stranger who looked like he was he was weary from war, and he said something. He said something to him there. So I guess this is their first encounter. Based on Noah's description in season 1.
Aber nur für ein paar Tage. Bis du auf die Beine kommst.
Passen perfekt zusammen. Tut mir etwas anderes.
Yeah, thought so. Wanted poster for the stranger.
Sie sind Herr Wöller, richtig?
Ja.
Dann haben wir heute das Vergnügen. Sie haben noch ein Auto.
Hello, Mr. Waller, with the missing eye that we have no idea how the hell that happened. What happened to your eye? The unsolved mystery of Dark so far. What happened? What the hell happened to his eye? I mean, we know Katharina went into the caves, but for 2 days.
Bis es in die Höhlen gehen oder was?
And I suppose Peter and Charlotte have just been busy with their own investigation.
Die Leute sagen, dass Erna zu keinem streunenden Hund Nein sagen kann.
Ah, yes.
Ich bin hier nicht richtig.
But by this time, this Noah has already been introduced to his older self, I think.
Ich hatte dich mir anders vorgestellt.
Yeah, he already knows.
Warum hast du das gerade gesagt?
Yeah. Scripture is tattooed on his back. Sigmunus Creatus Est. And how the hell is he gonna get back to the future? The doorway that they were building in episode 1, I suppose. That's the only way. There's no machine here.
Ist schon eine Weile her. Tiedemann. Claudia Tiedemann. Sie hat das Werk früher geleitet. Wissen Sie, wo ich sie finden kann?
Also hier gibt es nur einen Tiedemann. Alexander Tiedemann, der leitet das Werk.
Alexander Tiedemann.
Wurde in den 80ern verbaut. Ist damals bereits verschweißt worden. Als Sicherheitsmaßnahme. Ist heute noch verschlossen.
Wissen Sie, was ich merkwürdig finde?
Jeder, der hier geboren wurde, bleibt.
Das wird sich jetzt wahrscheinlich ändern. Wenn das Kraftwerk schließt.
Sie sind nicht von hier.
You've been awfully quiet, Eye Patch. We all know why, but hoping he figures it
Eine
out.
Frage noch. Warum haben Sie den Namen Ihrer Frau angenommen?
Regina hat keine Geschwister. Wir wollten den Namen am Leben erhalten.
Wie ist Ihr richtiger Name?
Köhler. Alexander Köhler.
That's a long stare. It's coming for you, Alexander.
Er ist viel älter und er weiß, wo mein Jonas ist und er weiß auch, wo Ulrich ist.
Der Mann hier. Der Priester. Weißt du, wer das ist?
Das ist nur. Zu Ihnen.
Was soll das?
Zu wem?
Zu Sigmundus. Zu den Reisenden.
Travelers.
Reisenden?
Ah, it's getting good. At least he's a smart one. Like, why are you guys here?
Du bleibst bei mir. Du machst, was ich dir sage. Okay?
I'm glad they're actually getting along for once. The fighting from before. They cannot all be caught at the house with him there.
Ihr Mann hat sich letztes Jahr umgebracht. Sie aufgehängt. Wie kommt man zu seinem Posten? Sonderkommission.
That's an
Haben
odd
Sie das freiwillig
question.
ausgesucht?
Oh ja.
Does he have some connection to this town? Yeah, Ulrich is rotting away somewhere.
Sie hat Ronte und mir gesagt, was wir machen müssen.
I mean, Michael was already dead when they found out. And Mikkel had already disappeared, so it's not as though they could change anything.
Da steht alles drin. Über die Kinder. Wer verschwunden ist, wann. Dinge über Zeitreisen. Zeichnungen, Tabellen, wir haben es nicht ganz verstanden.
Missing pages.
Die letzten Seiten wurden rausgerissen.
I guess they need to ensure that the things that are in the note, that are on the pages, happen as they're supposed to happen. Okay. That is an apartment. And we know he doesn't make it back home for quite some time, so this is definitely not going to be his way home. Oh, I found her. Where has she been all this
Sag mir,
time?
jetzt wollen wir fahren.
Calm down.
Mal, Charlotte, wohin fahren wir?
Es ist einfacher zu erklären, wenn ich es dir zeige.
It'll be tough to explain this one to her. Happy to see you here.
Riss in der Zeit.
Is she gonna believe them? It's a tough
Wollt ihr
thing to
mich
swallow.
verarschen?
Who the hell are you?
Noch einer. Wer bist denn du? Bist du ihr Neuer?
Ich bin Jonas.
Sie sagt, es wackelt. Was ist das?
Da ist wer. Los.
Bartosz.
In den 50ern, mein Sohn in den 80ern. Du hast ihn da zurückgelassen, weil Mikkel dein Vater ist. Richtig?
So it's pretty unbelievable.
Kannst du mit Toten reden? Ja?
Katharina,
Stop talking.
ich war da.
You're not
Ich
helping.
habe ihn gesehen.
You're the last person that should be talking to her right now.
Ihr habt sie doch nicht mehr alle.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done this unless they had some way of definitively convincing her. Will it work? I don't think it will. No. No black hole. Think maybe his timing may be off. Whatever incident that needs to happen to create it, you know, hasn't happened yet.
Wenn du mit dieser ganzen Scheiße hier irgendwas zu tun hast.
Fick dich.
Oh. Lass das. Mann, jetzt sag uns einfach, warum du hier bist.
Wenn du mit Mikkel oder Papa irgendwas zu tun hast, dann bringe ich dich um. Was machen wir denn jetzt?
Das packen wir ein.
Hey, Scheiße. Magnus! Hey, Magnus!
Eine Kommissarin, die abgetaucht ist. Und wir haben eine Stadt voller Menschen, die sich belügen, betrügen und hintergehen.
That's a pretty good summary of everything.
Was ist eigentlich mit ihrem Auge passiert?
Yes, please. What happened to your eye?
Also, letzten Sommer ist
Come on! Why are you walking in the middle of the road, Claudia? Finish. Let him finish his story. What happened to his eye? The writers are deliberately doing this. He was in the graduation photo that we saw back in season 1. So, or a class photo or something like that. Yeah. A lot to take in.
Sie ist noch nicht offen.
Yeah, I thought so. Ah, 32 more years.
Sie warten auf dich.
Wer wartet auf mich?
Sigmundus.
Travelers.
Er hat gesagt, es gibt ein Schlupfloch.
Wer?
Adam.
Wer ist Adam?
He does know.
Der Anführer von Sigmundus. Der letzte Zyklus beginnt. In 3 Tagen. Ich muss ihn stoppen.
But how?
Sie hat's versucht. Aber am Ende ist sie genau das geworden, was sie bekämpfen wollte.
She became what she wanted to fight. Yeah, she did say some things need to happen, you know. So the bridge between the light and the dark, you know, it seems to be fading. He met him when he went to save Mikkel, so he should know him.
Meine Bekanntschaft hast du ja schon gemacht. Du willst doch endlich Antworten haben.
Ellie.
Was ist da drin?
Stop with the secrets. Secrets are what's
Uns.
the cause of all this.
Die ganze Zeit.
Alright, show yourself, Adam. Are we gonna be seeing him before his scars? I'm wondering if it's gonna be someone that we actually know.
Du hast sicherlich viele Fragen. Wollen wir anfangen?
Ich
Ich will mit überhaupt nichts anfangen. Ich will, dass es hier endlich aufhört. Alles.
Keine Sorge, es wird ein Ende finden.
And then begin
Das
again.
ist unausweichlich. Dein Ende. Mein Ende.
So is he Jonas, from the distant future?
Wer sind Sie?
That would be interesting. He did say, Claudia became the thing that she was trying to prevent. It would be something if he became the thing he was trying to prevent.
Kannst du dir das nicht denken?
The scars are on his neck. Ah. Jonas. And I said this from in season 1 that the answer to all of this may just be
Ich bin du.
Jonas trying to continue existing. All right, episode 4 of Dark, and I mean quite a bit happened, but it's hard not to focus on anything else except for that last scene at the end there. So Adam is Jonas. Wow. So the very thing that he said in this episode, in the cellar with Charlotte and the others, and he said, and it occurred to me there because he said, in the end, Claudia became the very thing that she was trying to fight. She became Adam in a sense, in the way that she began to speak about how everything, things need to happen a specific way. But that's the very same thing that that the stranger, was saying back in season 1 as well. And I mentioned it in the last, I believe in the very first episode, and last season as well, in that, he's doing his best to ensure his existence, when he first met with Jonas, or when he sent Jonas to 1986 and they were having that conversation, looking at Mikkel across, on the bench talking with the nurse. And he was saying, yeah, if you bring him back now, you will cease to exist. And I said in that episode in my discussion that, what if that is what needs to happen? What if, his obsession with trying to ensure his own existence is what is the cause of all of this. And it appears as though that is the case. But from a different perspective here, though, because, I mean, this younger Jonas wants to get home. The stranger believes that Adam needs to be stopped. The stranger knows Adam, he and Adam are the same person. And in his statement there about Claudia, I wonder if he's not, it hasn't occurred to him yet that he is becoming the same thing that he's trying to stop here, because the secret's, and perhaps that is, I don't know, it may be that is something that is supposed to happen, in that he's telling Hannah and everyone else about everything because he said secrets are what are the cause of this. But clearly, younger Jonas and Adam, their interaction doesn't change anything because the stranger is still here, so he still continues to do the same actions. Otherwise, the stranger would no longer exist at this point. So he's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna leave the guide for younger Jonas again on the next cycle and perpetuate the same loop all over again. So it nothing has changed yet. We won't know if something has changed until the stranger no longer exists. And once the stranger is still there, that means that nothing has changed in my mind so far, at least. I mean, some things can change and he still remains on the same path, but I think the thing that needs to change to end this, if that happens, Jonas would no longer exist. So he cannot exist in order for things to return to normal. And I don't see why he can't see that at this stage in time. When he met his younger self, he still kept him in the dark about everything until the very end, when he was already in the room and about to be transported. So he kept the secrets, the same thing that Claudia has been doing all this time, And we saw her do the same thing again with her younger self. In the last episode, she didn't tell her what she needed to know until the very end when she was about to die. And yeah, it's the secrecy all this secrecy and this, you know, their convictions to hold on to their own existence that is causing the problem. You know, I think in Claudia's case, she may be doing it to try to save Regna, you know. But as I said at the very beginning of this episode, by not doing things differently, she has ensured that she doesn't love her daughter. She doesn't spend more time with her daughter, because had she not given her that information, I mean, some things could have changed. Some may have remained the same, but she would have at least been home. She wouldn't have disappeared. She wouldn't have vanished. The article that she read said she vanished at some point. So I imagine at this stage where she is now, she's just there to say goodbye, where she visited younger Regna here. Or maybe she leaves at a later point. But the article said that she vanishes. So she's going to be leaving her daughter. And, you know, had she not given her older self, not given her that information, she could have spent more time with her daughter. So she's indirectly causing the very thing she's trying to prevent, you know. And Jonas is doing the very same thing in his obsession with getting back to what he perceives as being the norm, you know, because his existence is not the norm, you know. His existence is the anomaly that is causing all of this. So I think he needs to not exist in order for things to return to normal. He won't be there to enjoy it, and everything will be different. But that's the aim. That is the aim. So I can only hope that, I mean, as I said, I don't think we'll know things have changed until the stranger is no longer in the picture. So that's a huge revelation. Makes for I can't wait to see what he does with the information later on. But again, because we already know the stranger's actions, we know he won't change anything. So the cycle continues, guys. The cycle continues. Yeah, I mean, the moment I heard Noah, I recalled Noah's conversation with Helg in season 1, where he says, you know, he says he met a stranger who appeared war weary or something like that, and he was sleeping in his room, and he heard him say something. I forget the words exactly, but the moment he drops here in 1921, I realized, okay, that yeah, this is where it happens. This is where they meet for the first time, because of that story that he told Helg. But obviously he's already been visited by older Noah, so he at this stage he knows what's going to happen. But so I mean, he's the key. Jonas is the key. I think, as I said, I'm still curious to know what part Charlotte plays, and her parents as well, because I think that's also a factor in whatever needs to happen for the cycle to continue. But another thing I'm interested in is the book as well. I'm assuming at this point that, you know, that Jonas is the one that wrote the book. You know, someone with knowledge of the past and the future, as Noah puts it. And I believe we heard Tannhaus speak about the bootstrap paradox in the last episode when he was speaking to Claudia, and that book falls into that category. You know, so it's something that Jonas has written, but it needs to be passed. You know, it needs to be passed from future to past and past to future to ensure that timeline, you know, that the cycle actually continues. So and they need that explains why they actually need the pages, because they need to know what happens over the course of time to ensure that those events still happen in order for the cycle to repeat itself. So it's interesting that Jonas ends up being the one that you know that creates it. But yeah, it's the good news, and again, I'm not convinced that this changes anything at all, is that, you know, most of the adults now know the truth. But this is, of course, 3 days before 3 days before the apocalypse happens, and I'm assuming that the apocalypse is what triggers the doorway back in 1921. In order, I think Noah said it doesn't happen for another 32 years. But I'm assuming that is the event that triggers, you know, the black hole in the first place. I'm hoping anyway. That's my assumption. But they know the truth, but what to do with it? I mean, what can they do at this stage? And it's up to the stranger. While we are following younger Jonas, I think we're just following him to kind of fill in some of the pieces, the missing pieces. But what the stranger does from this point onwards, I think, is going to be pivotal because, I mean, he still has a machine. He's still able to move through the different timelines. But you know, what can he do to change things? And what is Bartosz's place in this? So there are still a lot of questions, still a lot of things that remain unanswered. I'm still thinking about the open doors. The last episode we saw Tannhaus putting together that pocket watch that Noah in season 1 said belongs to Charlotte. So you know, how does that come into play? Who are her parents? Because I mean, we've met her a few times, her younger self, but she's never really been the focus of any of the episodes in 1986. I do remember that she crossed paths with young Jonas at one point. I need to go back and watch that episode to see if, because they were speaking for quite a bit. That was the longest screen time I think her younger self had, you know, in the series so far. So I'm gonna go back and watch that episode to see if anything was said between the two that may give any clues as to, you know, what exactly happened. And of course there is the agent that's in town doing the investigations. I think his name is Clausen. I have a name written down. I need to put something so I know who it is, but I think his name is Clausen. And I'm curious as to know what, you know, initially I thought he was just an external factor that's just in town to do investigations, but, you know, Waller asked him in this episode, you know, how he came to be assigned to this task, and he was requested, you know, he requested it himself. So I'm now wondering whether he has some ties to this town, you know, curious, very curious. And now, of course, the biggest goddamn mystery in Dark is what the hell happened to Waller's eye. And at this point, this is the writers are teasing us here because he was about to say why, and then Claudia dashes in front of the car and he has to stop, and we don't know what happened to Waller's eye. That is the biggest mystery in Dark so far. It's 2 seasons, we still don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out at the end of this season or in season 3. But what happened to his eye? But yeah, a lot of things happened. I'm gonna rewatch this episode and you know, try to come up with some new theories. So be sure to post down below, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.